All right, welcome to the Art Cloud. This is episode 5. This is a little series I'm doing where we design characters and draw the world around them. Last night I was working on this illustration of my character Eris, and so I'm just going to share my process for completing this. Probably record for about an hour, hour and a half, and see how far I can get with this process. But yeah, I'm just going to start, and the next step for this is the inking phase. I just have to get all the lines in there. I've got this sketch finished. I'm going to show you this time lapse real quick of how I started. So I just recorded in Clip Studio Paint. This is how I started. I had the idea that I didn't really do any thumbnails. I just went into drawing, and I knew I wanted Eris to be resting, just relaxing at this like castle ruins. One thing I'm getting better at is drawing like props and different things in the environment to make it feel more alive. So I drew some pottery and some a barrel and some lost pieces of wood or uh, just like damaged pieces of wood and stuff around in the environment. So I want to get better at making my environments and my drawings feel a little bit more alive, and doing that or drawing props is a good way to do that. So this is my reference board here. I got reference for his armor that he wears. I believe this is called a gamson, something like that. But it looks really cool. I like that. I want to draw this pattern in his clothing as well. And this world is more of a fantasy medieval type of world, but I also want to include like African elements into the world. So I have this, I believe it's an Algerian sword. I believe it's called a Flissa, Flyssa. I spelled that wrong, but something like that. Instead of just like the standard kind of sword you see, I wanted to go with something with more of an African influence. And so that's what I have here. And yeah, so just to start off, I am going to turn on the recording at this point in Clip Studio. That way it records everything I do from this point on. But other than that, yeah, I'm just going to keep drawing. And everything is pretty much set in stone. I just have like a few little things I want to adjust here and there. I think this rock doesn't need to be here. This boulder or this stone doesn't need to be here. So I can just make that a little bit more simplified and put that bush back in here like that. I feel like it was getting in the way of the sword. So something like that. That's fine. Very important that you establish your foreground, middle ground, and background. And that's why I love drawing environments and characters in them. And I want to get better at doing this. Practicing drawing like castles and different kinds of buildings so that I can really make illustrations that tell the story and don't just have a character standing there in blank space. Another thing I noticed when I came back to this drawing, like I said, I worked on it last night. This leg is a little off. It should be probably like right there. That looks a little bit better. It looks a little bit more relaxed now. Looks a little bit more anatomically correct. But yeah, like the sword design. And I'll probably do another sketch pass for Eris because I want him to be as the best he can be as far as the drawing goes. I don't want to have to guess when I do the line work, and so I'll probably do another pass real quick. But was there anything else I wanted to fix? I don't think so. Might be. Let me see. Uh, this grass down here. I was sketching it, but I really want to just simplify these shapes to make it easier for me when I ink it. Simplify everything. Like a very tall, long grass out in the wilderness somewhere. Just want to simplify this shape before I move on to the line art. It was looking a little bit messy, so just want to clean this up a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to have to guess what I'm doing with anything when I do the line art. Overall time I've spent on this last night, I was drawing this for an hour, and this is just like a comfort zone kind of a drawing. I was drawing something a little bit more grand, a little bit more big with a lot more story elements to it. It will probably take me a lot longer. So this is definitely fun to do. A little bit more comfortable doing this. Next illustration I draw, I want to challenge myself to draw some type of building, castle, or something. So something like this is good. Probably have another some leaves over here from a bush or something. Nice. This is basically 2-point perspective. It's not super accurate, but that's fine because these stones are basically like castle ruins. So they don't need to be perfect, but just need to get the idea across. Drawing the grass, simplifying it. And in my reference, I have these pictures of my castle ruins and stuff, but I really like this one and the colors. So I want to do that here in my drawing. What's going on here? I don't know. A little bit better. Yeah, stuff like this, the pottery and the barrels and stuff, this bottle down here makes just makes the scene feel a little bit more interesting. I'm gonna move this sword around, probably like something like this. Somewhere. Where can I put it at? I feel like that just wasn't the right place for it. Um, Maybe I just don't need the sword at all. Yeah, I don't need the sword. That's fine. That is completely fine with me. And maybe there's more ruins back here. Castle ruins. We see that in the background. But it's pretty much good. I like how this is going right now. So what I'm gonna do is start cleaning up his face and his dreadlocks. I want to make sure there's no fusion on what's happening there. So when I do the line art, I will be good to go. Actually, gonna draw some more grass down here. Actually, so stuff like this. Just some simple shapes like that. Nice. I like how I place these rocks in the foreground here, so the composition is kind of like this, and it points to the character. That's gonna be fun to do. I'm thinking of having like a fun shadow where maybe half his body is in shadow, but maybe not. I don't know how that would work either. There would have to be a tree like past these rocks. So maybe I could even draw a tree like this. Let me see what this looks like. If I drew a tree in the foreground, it would be fine, but I feel like it breaks the space up too much. Let me try this. If I color that in, what that look like? Yeah, because I want to be able to see this space out here, and having a tree right there just blocks it. So yeah, it's fine. Just have some top-down lighting from the sun, just like this picture here I'm using for reference. So I'm going to start, use a smaller brush size and draw over the top of this because I really want to make sure his face is looking really good. That's what it's the focal point of the illustration. So smaller brush size like that, yeah. I think I'm giving him like a necklace as well. I think that'll make for a good story element. He has some type of necklace. I have to move the head that way some. Maybe we'll see. I'm getting even smaller brush size. And at first, my idea was for him to be taking a nap or something, maybe, but maybe he's just like super tired. He's got he's about to fall asleep. That'd be kind of cool. So let's see. I think the eyes are just too low. Right here, maybe. I think the head is a little too big. This is why I want to draw over the initial sketch because make sure everything is looking right and I want to make it look the best it can be. And now that his eyes are open, I'm probably open a little too wide. Something like he's about to fall asleep. There we go. I like that better. And then he has a scar on his right cheek. It might be that his head is too small. I think that's why. Um, maybe. All right. His dreadlocks. Kind of going in the same direction, so like that instead. That's a little too far out, so I'll just bring it back in a little bit. Something like this. I like his dreadlocks because it kind of frames his face. And that's a important story element as well. Something like that is good. And then he's got the fade on the side. Yeah, I like this. I like this better. He looks a lot more tired, a little bit weird, a little bit more weary from his travels, and that's what I want to convey. So instead of having his eyes completely closed, having them be a little bit more relaxed. It's almost as if he's about to fall asleep. So I like that a lot more. All right. His dreadlocks, back to his head, neck, and then his gamson. Is that how you say that? Gamson? Hopefully. I'm gonna keep this a lot really simplified. That's what I'm learning about character design, especially as far as the colors go. I wanted to keep my colors, my character design, like 5 to 8 colors, 5 to 10 colors. I think this can be a little bit more like this. feel like the ear is too big now. Shrink it. Bring it down just a little bit. Nice. I really want to make sure the expression is right. My main inspiration for my story and the characters I'm drawing in like this medieval fantasy setting is definitely Legend of Zelda. I want to create my own kind of world with black characters, and this guy will be the main protagonist, the hero of the story. I grew up playing the Wind Waker, and that was pretty much the only Zelda I ever played. So I was able to like download, play Minish Cap. I played that for a little bit, but I just grew up playing Wind Waker, and I really enjoy the fantasy setting, the knights in armor and castles and stuff like that. So that's why I'm drawing this stuff, drawing this world, characters. I definitely want to see more black characters in a fantasy setting. And so that's what I'm doing with this world. And it's really fun seeing my progress getting better. This year I definitely want to improve on my character design. Looks like there's some type of belt here to keep these two sides together. I'd probably just do something like that. That looks fine. And then there's a button over here on this side. So it might be a little bit bigger. I'm kind of redesigning him on the fly too. But overall, I know what I want him to look like. I just haven't been able to execute it. So I really need to sit down and actually design his character, because this is definitely closer to what I want him to look like. I want him to have scars on his left arm. I want him to have dreadlocks. Like, those are the things I already know I want him to have and I want him to look like. But I really just got to go back and redesign his clothing and stuff. This is definitely a lot closer to what I want him to look like. As far as his clothing goes, I want him to have a gambeson and some other cool accessories. Like I said, I want him to have like some type of necklace. Would be cool for maybe his home country. I can do something like that here. And his color scheme is probably going to be like black and yellow, black and gold, black, silver, and gold, or black, yellow, silver, whichever. But yeah, a diamond necklace, because that's where he's from. Land of the Diamonds. It's very fun experimenting and writing the story as I go along to find out what I like and just to figure out the overall story in general. Like, a quick summary of the story is that everyone in this world has magical powers except for the people in his homeland. They believe that the power that the world uses is evil, so that, which it is, and so his goal in the story is to defeat the defeat that evil and extinguish it from this world. Looks off, but I'm just gonna leave it for now. Fine. Ooh, that's kind of cool now too. He's like looking at his necklace, and he's tired. Very cool. This probably goes above it like this. But yeah, I think that would be interesting, having a character that goes against the world to save it. I imagine that in this story, he's in a time of war, and the other countries and kingdoms in this world are battling to see who is superior. And that's what this whole art cloud process is about. It's about designing these characters and the world around them. And like I said, this world revolves around these kingdoms having this magical power, and they're battling for superiority over it. And that's why there's a war going on. And this character, Eris, wants to end that war. So it definitely took me a while to come up with that concept, that story. Nothing crazy, I don't think, but I feel like I can really come up with some cool ideas and cool stuff revolving around that idea. So that's what the art cloud is all about. Designing these characters, designing the different countries. And so far so good. Let me save this though, because I do not want this to get corrupted or anything. So it's gonna take a little bit longer for it to save because I am recording the time lapse of it. Oh wow. It's not. That didn't take too long. But yeah, this is very fun to do. I'm already 30 minutes in. I'm making great progress. The total working time is an hour and a half now. Imagine if this character is like 17, 18 years old and got a lot of weight on his shoulders. I definitely want to explore that in comics. I want to have this in a graphic novel eventually. This story, comic book that people can read and enjoy. I want to see this story sitting on my bookshelf one day. Like 3, 4 volumes of the Diamond Odyssey. That'd be fire. It's going to be fire. So thank you for joining me on this journey, drawing these characters and exploring this world. I hope that I can continue just to help on with your own characters and stuff as you explore your own stories and draw your own characters and stuff. But I'm super glad I'm refining this. I'm not too worried about the background because I know I can ink the background pretty easily. I don't need to refine that too much. But the character I really want to refine because if I started from here with the inking process, I definitely would have struggled with the details of the character. So that's why I am doing this. And then after I do this, I'll go into the line art and stuff. And I want to play with this texture of the Gamson and apply it to his own. So I'll do that in a second, but let me just finish drawing this. What's interesting about this story is how this character is set apart from the world. He doesn't want to use the power that they use, this evil power that they use. He doesn't want to use it, and it's definitely gonna be difficult for him to save the world without it, but it's not impossible. And that ties into the story and why he has his special kind of black blade, his sword. I imagine that it's made of some type of material that repels the magic in this world. This world, I just call it chaos. And so other characters use this power called chaos, except for Eris and the people in his home country. And very cool. Shading in the areas I want to be shadow. Those are the areas I'm gonna I'm going to ink all black. Hopefully you're working on your own stuff too right now. Maybe you're drawing your own characters right now with me, alongside me. When I do want to start live streaming on YouTube, so I gotta figure that out. That way I can go live and have fun on there. But for now, I'm just recording live and drawing live. Well, I'm not technically streaming or nothing live. I'm not live streaming, but I'm just recording live so that I can start getting ready. And I definitely got to learn how to live stream on YouTube. So that's gonna be a fun process to learn. But I'll start drawing the scars now. Everything on on your character should be story driven. That way they're not boring. There's be a reason that they have certain items or have scars or and stuff like that. And it'll really make them stand out in a character lineup. Like if you've been on the channel for a while, then you've probably seen my character Pumari on the channel. He's definitely a different character. He's a chaos user. And so there's gonna be some cool interactions between these two characters. They're friends, but they have differences in their worldview as far as the magic goes. Pumari is able to control fire with chaos. So yeah, this is gonna be super exciting just to explore like the comics and stuff I want to make with these characters in this world. Very excited. I'm just really having fun drawing this right now too. Exploring this illustration. Um, like it's almost like a sadness, but then it's gonna be like these contrasts with these colors, like what's really going on behind this character's eyes and his mood. Very cool. And even though I haven't designed him, like I said, I have the general idea of what I want him to look like. So this was pretty easy for me to come up with, especially just with my reference on the side. He's got one scar here on his hand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that. So I've been drawing for 40 minutes. I'm going to take a break and then come back and move on to the line art because I'm pretty much finished with the refinement stage of this process. I just have to draw his hand, his pants, and his sword, and that'll be pretty much it. After that, I'll move on to the line art and lay down the flat colors. So yeah, I'm gonna take a break real quick. All right, so I'm back, ready to get back to it. Nice little break. Yeah, it's got to finish drawing his pants. So this is going to be super fun to do the line art for. All right, and now just a sword in his hand. And broken down the hand to basically two shapes. Two rectangular shapes here. That works perfectly fine for this. Even though there's knuckle and then two other joints. Breaking down the hand like this just makes it simple. A little bit more simple. A little bit more easy to draw. Instead of having to draw all three parts of the finger, you can just draw first section and the second section like this. And it looks pretty good. I guess it just depends on your style and how you want to draw the hand. But for me, I'm fine with it looking simplified. If I'm gonna draw these characters a lot, especially like in a comic, I want the design to be pretty simple. So I'm fine with the the hands just being simplified like this as well. That should be good for the hand. Yeah, I like it. All right. And then this hand comes down and does something like that. That's in shadow. Like that. Cool. Now I just got to draw the sword and I'm ready to do the line art. Even though I want to learn how to paint for this project, I definitely want to stick to my comfort zone and draw all this stuff best I can. And to do that, I definitely got to draw a line art. I'm more comfortable drawing line art, but I can implement painting techniques into the drawing still, into the coloring process, especially for the background. I like doing that for the background, while everything in the foreground and midground are line art. I'll paint the background sometimes. Especially because that's the least important area of the image is the background. I guess it depends on your drawing, but yeah, that's the least important part about this drawing. So I don't mind painting it and practicing my painting skills back here in the background. So I think I should do this because with the Felissa it has like this edge here, right there. It's on the same side as that though, so maybe I should turn this around. Let me see. If I do something like this, and then I turn this around like that, just flip it around. This, and bring it down. Nice, that looks great. That's why you need reference, because I wasn't even paying attention to that at first. Oh, that looks cool. I'll draw in perspective though, kind of like laying flat on his lap. It's gonna be something like that. Yeah, that's fine. And then this is the hilt. Is that what it's called? I think so. I think that's what it's called, like that. And maybe I can do some type of engraving back here, but I'm thinking of just keeping it super simple. If I was gonna do like an engraving or something, it would be super simplified. I don't even think I need all that, but I do want some type of detail though. Back here, I think this is too small. Actually, it probably needs to be a little bit longer because you can't really hold it right there. So probably like that. That probably looks a little bit better. A little bit longer, which is fine. Needs to be a little bit longer where you can put his hand there. Probably like a one-handed sword. That's what this looks like. You probably can only hold this one with one hand. So I want to imitate that and emulate that. All right. I imagine that this material that the sword is made out of is made out of a material that's uh, a magic deterrent or repellent. So this sword helps him fight against chaos users, and it's probably going to be like a blunt weapon as well. Even though it looks sharp, I imagine that it can't cut through a person. So it's just used to combat magic, and after that, he just has to rely on his maybe hand-to-hand combat skills or something like that. You just got to throw hands after that. So you could probably knock somebody out with this. uh, yeah, it's very fun to do this type of stuff and draw your own world. I'm trying to think of like some type of engraving I can do. There's an engraving on the sword. It's pretty cool. I don't know if I want to include that though on the sword. That's why I need to design the character for real. Because if I already had the character designed, I wouldn't have to be doing this right now. But maybe I can just do like a wrap around the hilt here, where he can hold his hand, something like that. Makes it a little bit more interesting. And then this point here, I don't know. Maybe I can emphasize the diamond motif again. Maybe something like this. Um, yeah, that's why I need to go and design the character and flesh it out. But this is fine for now. I'm just gonna move on to the line art because I'm super happy with how this is coming out. Let's look at the time lapse of this, if I can. Time lapse export. Yes, I can. So this is the time lapse so far. This is the progress I've made so far. Just refining the sketch. It's very cool. Nice. All right, let's continue. So I don't need this right now. I'm just gonna move it to my other screen so that I can focus on the line art. I'm gonna save it really quick. Save it really quick and move on to the line art and the color. My last YouTube video was me talking about the progress I made and how important the fundamentals are, especially when you first start drawing. And that just this drawing just reminded me of how much better I'm getting. And it'd be fun to like show my younger self this drawing. Like I don't think I would ever imagine that I would be able to draw something like this. But it goes to show like the more you practice something, the better you'll get at it. So let's get to this line art. I'm ready. I'm gonna separate this stuff into some folders though. This folder will be my sketch folder, and this folder will be my line art and color. Let's move these there. Right. Let's turn this layer up a little bit more so I can see that under the sketch. All right, so this is the pen I'm using. I kind of wanted it to emulate a ballpoint pen, and as I created this to, like I said, emulate a ballpoint pen, and it kind of does. It feels like the pen I use when I draw my sketchbook. Close enough. So I'm happy with how it came out. I know somebody asked me about my brushes that I use. I'm still developing them. They're not super. They're not all the way there. I don't use all of them. I only use about these two, the mechanical pencil I created in the Avion pen. So let's get started with this line art. What I like to do with the line art is separate everything: foreground, midground, background. So this first line art layer will be the foreground. And this will be called foreground line art, or foreground. Not even line art, the foreground, because I'm going to color everything in this layer folder. This layer folder is going to have the line art and the color and all the shadows and stuff. So yeah, I don't start with the character first. I start with the foreground and move back in space. So let's see. Because of the foreground, I might want to draw it with. I'm going to draw it with a bigger brush size, and then the farther back I go, I'm gonna use a smaller brush size. So 17 might be good. Having a bigger brush size also implies that it's closer to the camera. So that's always fun to do. I really like this brush too because not only does it feel like a pen, a ballpoint pen to me, but it also feels like a brush pen. And so like I can like drag the ink across and get like effects like this down here because there's a opacity tied into it. Doesn't look super flat like a ballpoint pen. It has that texture of a brush pen, but also feels like a ballpoint. So I'm really enjoying this pen that I created. And that's one thing that's super funny to me about Clip Studio Paint in general. Like I've downloaded like all these brushes, but I've never really used any of them. I like to use my own. I like to use well, at first I like to use the default brushes in Clip Studio, and then as I got more comfortable with the program, I started creating my own stuff and experimenting. So like literally all these brushes in here, I'm probably just gonna end up deleting because I don't use any of them that much. And it's probably just a waste of space for me because I don't use them at all. And there's this piece of wood here in the foreground as well. Having a different variety of textures in this environment will help convey the like messiness or like the ruined atmosphere. Like this is a castle ruin. So some of these different uh, things, different textures, like destroyed pieces of wood and stuff like that will help me convey that. I need to turn this layer up a little bit more so I can see what I'm drawing. Drawing on the wrong layer. All right. Because this is in the foreground, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail with this wood. Make the texture stand out a little bit more. I also like not having too much, what's it called, stabilization. Like I don't even have it on. Sometimes I'll turn the adjust by speed. And the way I have this brush set up is when I adjust it by speed, when I turn that on, it only does it when I draw slowly. So if I need to draw something straight and it needs to be like that, I can turn that on and it'll only do the stabilization when I'm drawing something super slow. When I draw fast with that on, it just the same. I just like really being loose with my line art. So I have the stabilization option, but I don't even use it because I actually like the way my line art looks when it's as loose as possible. So drawing all these rocks and stones, foreground, using this big brush to help it feel like they're in the foreground. And I think that's it. Just those elements, because everything else after that is background and midground. Takes get some water, but I like to simplify the texture of the rocks as well, like this. I really do enjoy Clip Studio Paint. Before I was using Clip Studio Paint, I was using Krita, I think. That was back when I really first started drawing digitally. And I didn't know what I was doing. I eventually went and bought Clip Studio Paint, so I have the full version. I'm not subscribed to it, so I don't have the newest of features, but I have the whenever they stop updating it, I have that version of it, which is fine for me. I don't really need any of the other stuff. I don't even know what else they have really. Might have to try that one day, but that's it for the line art in the foreground. Now what I like to do is just go ahead and add that flat color in. So now I can go in, I'm going to bring this back in, my reference. And this is my reference, right? So everything is more cool and there's cool shadows. But overall, it's a cool looking image as far as the color scheme goes. So for the foreground, because I've already got the line art done, I'm just gonna go I'm just gonna go ahead and block out the color. Just put that base color in there. Going to help me with the entire image. I can either start with the gray color, or I can just start with the color I want to use. I'll start with that color. That's fine. And that just helps me separate everything as I draw. So now I'm just going to go back and make a new layer folder. This is going to be my midground. My midground layer. I have my line art layer, and then same thing. I'm going to draw my line art. And I'll put a color layer underneath that. All right. Making great progress. So I'm not going to use as big of a pen now. For this line art, I'm probably going to go down to 8. Before I was using like a 17 or 12. I was using like a 12, I think. Yeah, something like that. But I'm going to use a 8. Brush size of 8 to draw Eris and everything in the foreground. So this is probably going to be the most time consuming part. I'm going to turn off this layer for now so I can just focus on Eris and his face and everything. What is this layer? So, all right. I like how this brush has a little bit of texture on it too. I think I want to go smaller, maybe 5. Yeah, let's go to 5. 5. Like that. Better. And because I'm drawing more straight lines now that aren't like natural rocks and grass, I do want a little bit more stabilization, so I'm going to do adjust by speed. That way when I draw slowly, a little bit better of a line. There we go. I'm going to use an even smaller brush size for the facial features. I'm going to do that this eye a little too far up, so I'm just kind of adjusting it as I ink it. Nice. It's looking good. Yeah, that's why live streaming would be fun too, because I could answer people's questions and not talk to myself. But it's all right. When I figure out how to do that, I will. And we can live stream and stuff. Um, one of these eyebrows is too low or high. Figure it out. Yeah, this is my favorite line art brush now. The more I use it, the fun I have drawing with it. All right. I wanted to turn on the setting where I could adjust the speed, the stabilization by the speed. Either want to draw quick or slow. So now that I'm drawing a little bit more quickly, I kind of want these lines to be a little bit more stabilized when I draw faster. So I just wanted to turn that on really quick. One thing I'm learning about my line art is I don't have to be super perfect. Everything doesn't have to be close, super clean. I like I like it looking a little bit more traditional, and like if I make a mistake somewhere, it's a little bit harder to fix that on a traditional piece of paper. So I kind of just want to emulate that when I draw here digitally. I don't know if I like that line. Yeah, no. I need to split that up though. That's a little bit too big with dreadlock. Yeah, something like that. There we go. Cool. But yeah, like I was saying, I want it to feel like, I just wanted this to feel like I'm drawing on paper. And that's why I really created this brush. It really reminds me of sketching with a pen in my sketchbook. It's really smooth. There's no stabilization really, so that's part of making it feel more like that's part of making it feel more like drawing traditionally is no stabilization, and I really enjoy that. So Cool thing though about drawing digitally is I can erase my lines if I need to. So at this point, I'm just going to save it real quick. Yeah, I almost forgot that I was still saving. So hopefully this is good and I didn't just crash the program. It'll be good. That's the only bad part about recording your time lapses in Clip Studio. If you forget that you're doing it while it's saving, then this happens and you have to wait for the program to get right. There we go. All right. It's a little scary, but as long as your computer can handle it, program is good. So let's continue. I feel like this eye is still too low. I don't know if it's just me or what, but I'm gonna bring it up just a tiny bit. Maybe right there, maybe. Yeah, I didn't even move it really. I'm just tripping. All right, that's fine. All right. This is where the node stabilization comes in handy. I can just draw a line super quick. Not be too worried about it. Be super loose. I feel like this line is too straight. Gotta make it curve a little bit. And this is what I mean by not being super clean with the line art. Like I'm not closing off every single line. I'm just letting it be loose, and I like that. Forgot to add that texture in of the of his armor. I forget what it's called. Gamson. The Gamson. I forgot to add the texture in. Might do it now. Maybe not. I don't know. I think it'd be cool though. The more comfortable you get doing line art, the easier it is to draw lines in like one stroke, especially digitally. I know for me, when I first started drawing, it was a little bit awkward for me to do this because I'm so used to drawing on paper that it just feels weird. I think that's why you should try and find a brush that you like as well when you draw digitally. Because the more comfortable you are with the brush that you have, the easier it is to draw. That's why I needed to make my own brush, something that felt like the pen I use when I draw in my sketchbook. Now, this isn't exactly the way it feels. My sketchbook is similar, but it's not exact. I just needed something that felt similar. Nice. All right. I'm making good progress. Sometimes I'm zooming in a little too close. That's another tip. You can like zoom out. It makes it a lot easier to draw lines when you're a little bit more zoomed out and you don't have to worry about being too, if you're too close, you kind of get caught up in little details. But when I zoom out, I can see the shapes I need to draw, and it's also easier to draw those shapes because I can actually see them and like draw them in one stroke like this. So then I'll just go in and fill those in with black. The background is going to be the most time consuming part, the ink. I am 45 minutes into this and take a break in a little bit. I just want to finish drawing errors at least before I take another break. And down here, all right. Yep, I'm almost done. At this point, I'm gonna turn this sketch back on so I can see what I don't need to draw as far as like this leg, because I don't need to draw all of it. Actually, I'm gonna turn it off because that's in the way. Yeah, I'll turn it off for now. I just want to see the refined sketch. I don't want to see my first sketch. I want to go in more detail. I can draw his fingernails. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I don't. Depends on how they look. I draw it right. That looks fine. Yeah, that's cool. That's fine. Draw these scars. The scars are probably one of my favorite parts to draw because I just want to like it just makes me think about like what like how he got the scars and like how does that impact him and this and his story. So it's fun to draw them because I'm not just drawing them just to draw them. Like there's a reason for it, and I have some type of idea, but I want to explore that in the comic that I draw. These are some crazy scars. Like what do you gotta? What did you get yourself into to get some stuff like this on your arm? You know, even on his face, that scar on his face. There we go. Uh, nice. All right. I'm gonna save it real quick. It's gonna take a little bit. I was processing the Clip Studio time lapse as well. But yeah, as soon as I finish inks for Eris, I will take another break and then get back into it. It'll be a long video, but I hope this helps somebody out. Hope it helps somebody just understand the process of creating an illustration and yeah. I really do enjoy line art drawings. I want to get back into doing more. I haven't really created as much as I wanted to. That's what this year is about: creating more artwork and telling more stories through the art that I create. I'm definitely inspired by manga as well. I think the first manga that I read was Dragon Ball Z in the school library. Just rented it out. And what's crazy is my little brother is the one that put me on it. Like I don't think I would have discovered it if my brother wasn't reading it first. I think he was either reading Dragon Ball or One Piece back in like in elementary school. That's how I discovered manga, and that's definitely been an inspiration for me. I think after I read Dragon Ball, I didn't read all of it. I didn't read all of it because they didn't have all the volumes, but I think I started reading Naruto, and so the story's definitely got some inspiration from Naruto and Zelda, just manga in general. I enjoy the art form of manga. I actually read through all of Boruto, so I'm caught up on the manga, and I really enjoyed it. I know at the start, a lot of people didn't like the anime, but that's why you just got to read the manga. The manga's where it's at. 'Cause the story is crazy, very cool. When you when you really look into it, Naruto's a story about ninjas and aliens, and you would have never thought that when you first get into it. How they explain like the alien race and stuff, pretty interesting. It's interesting. Boruto is definitely a cool character. One thing I really like about the Boruto manga is how clean everything is. As Naruto in general, but art style is very cool. It's very clean. That's what I want to do in my own comics. Is make sure everything is uh, super clean, super readable, and understandable. Like when you read, or at least when I read Boruto, I understand everything that's going on in each panel. That's a very good job by the artist. Because I just got done last year making the Tale of Pumari, that comic. A little short comic I made. You can read it on my art station. Should be in my channel description or below in the description of this video. But one thing I learned is just how hard it is to get clarity in the comic that you draw. And that's the main thing you want when you draw a comic, graphic novel. You want your reader to know exactly what's going on. You don't want anything to be hard to see or hard to understand. And I think that's where Naruto and Boruto do a good job. Is especially in the action scenes, you always know what's happening. You always know what character is getting hit. Sometimes it's hard to see, but you in general you know what's happening, who's getting hit, who's attacking, who's defending, stuff like that. So one reason why I enjoy manga art form is everything is very clear, understandable, easy to read, which is crazy, right? Because you read it right to left. And I remember when I first started reading it, I was like, wait, what? Kind of hard to get into, especially reading it. If you're from the US, you read left to right. And so reading a manga, you got to read right to left. And that's kind of difficult, especially when you first start out. But overall, with this line art of Eris, I think I'm done. I might add the texture in right now, actually. I'm going to do it on a separate layer so that I can experiment with it. But I kind of wanted to do this texture because it kind of matches up with the diamond theme. Like his country is like the land of the diamonds. And so I could try this one out, but I'm going to try this one out, see what that looks like. I'm going to do that on a new layer really quick. And then I'm going to take a break. So probably start up here and gotta kind of like curve it like this. These diamond shapes. Very cool. It's got to follow the form as well. I gotta remember that. You don't want to just draw it flat like this. You want to follow that form. And so the form goes around like this over his shoulder. So that's all I want to do with this. I don't know if I should keep doing this up. Maybe it's just in this section, like on his shoulders. 'Cause that could get annoying to draw in a comic. Like this whole entire like section of padded cloth. But I'm gonna try drawing it on the whole thing. See what it looks like. It's just cool because it varies the texture of the cloth. So it's not all the same. Not liking it right now. So I'm just gonna keep it like this. And that's something I would have to do when I actually design the character. So for now, I'll keep it like this, and then next thing I gotta do is move on to the environment and the background. So yeah, I'm gonna take a break and then continue. All right, I'm back from my break, ready to finish up this line work so I can start coloring. Let's see. Try to doing that texture, but I'm just gonna leave it like this. And let's see. I'm gonna separate the character lines from the midground lines, so this folder will just be for the character. delete this layer. And then I'll do a separate one for the midground. All right. It's the line art. And this is the color layer. And I'll make the background layer too, real quick. Folder. All right. Drawing trees and bushes is really easy for me. They just get to be loose with the line art because it's a natural thing in the environment. I don't have to worry about my lines being too clean. I can keep it just natural looking, a little random, especially for the leaves. Make them a little bit random. Yeah, drawing natural environments are my favorite thing to do. I'm gonna start uh, drawing like buildings and stuff though too, architecture, and figure out how to do that. And I'm keeping everything on, or the lines on separate layers, so it's just easier for me to separate them and color them. So I have my character lines on their own layer, and then I have this midground layer by itself. So it's easy to separate and color. Just trying to add some texture to these rocks and make them look interesting. Big stones. Forgot to turn on the. Forgot. Yeah, I forgot to. I think so. I think I forgot to restart the recording at this point. Yeah. I'm just waiting for it to save so I can restart this recording. Because I'm pretty sure I already exported. Yeah, I already exported the next part to this time lapse. Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, so while that's saving, this is the next part of the time lapse. How I refine everything. Full screen. A little choppy, but might just be lag. Yeah, I think this is lagging. But this is how I got to that point. And then I'm gonna. All right. I can delete that section of the recording. And then I can start a new one. Save it one more time. For a time lapse, right? Nice. All right. So now I'm recording at this point. I can show everything I just did, but that's fine. This is one thing I never really paid attention to when I was drawing environments and scenes for this story. I wasn't really paying attention to like props and different elements like that in your scene. I never really paid attention to them like that. So I'm working on including them in my illustrations more. These make it feel a little bit more alive, like the world people used to live here or something like that. All right, looking good. And then I also have some leaves up here. Mating. And what they do up here. This right here is why still life drawing is important, to be able to draw different kinds of objects and spaces. Uh, I want to do more studies like that too. Uh, I recently in my sketchbook just been drawing like more props and stuff and understanding how like wheelbarrows not work, but just drawing like wheelbarrows and different kind of carts and stuff just to help me understand how to draw those things. And it just goes back to the fundamentals. If you can draw a box, you can draw a castle, you can draw a little merchant stand, you can draw a little cart, you can draw a barrel. Just the fundamentals. All about the fundamentals. And then you can apply it to your work like this and include your characters and the life drawing that you did. Because these pieces of wood are farther back in the environment, I'm not drawing them with as much detail as I did with this one up here. So the farther back something gets, the less detail it's going to be. I really like drawing natural environments, so very fun. Very fun for me to do. I won't have a clear separation between these stones and this grass down here. So, use some different shapes. Don't necessarily have to be connecting to one another. I just want to imply that the grass starts here. With this different shape I'm drawing. Line art is definitely the most tedious part. Takes a while. Make sure there's some that overlap each other like this. And then just erase that part. Blades of grass. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I need to pull up a picture of a barrel real quick. Sometimes you think you know what something looks like, but it's better just to get reference. Um, I know it's not that complicated of a shape, but I just want to find a reference picture for one. And it doesn't have to be exactly like this, but as long as it looks similar, should be fine. All right, that looks good. All right, so that's pretty much it for the mid ground, like like what I got so far. Pretty confident in this. I'll, I'll probably take this to color just like this, but yeah, this is fine. Now I'm gonna do the last little bit of line work, which will be in the background here. And I'm gonna save it really quick. Yeah, like I said earlier, the line art I will use line art for the certain elements in the background, but the sky I'll probably go in like paint and figure that out. And because it's in the background, I'm gonna use a lighter or a smaller brush size. Just make it look like it's more like farther in the distance. So this turned out to be a long video, but I definitely wanted to record like this whole process of me creating this illustration live, and hopefully it helps somebody out. And that far away, we're not going to see the individual blades of grass like we do in the foreground. So I'm just going to imply the grass shapes like this. Some lines and some bushes back here. Nice. Maybe one over here. Nice. I'm also using the lines to imply a direction like the wind is blowing. That's kind of cool. More bushes back here. What I'm going to do eventually too is I'm going to blur the background out. It's going to look really cool when it's all finished. For now, I'm just keeping everything simple in the background. We don't really see any details back here. And the farther we get, the less detail we see. I'm going to draw some lines for the grass, the wind blowing in the grass. And that should be good. Keep it simple. Then there's going to be these structures back here. Maybe more castle ruins. But something like that. Looks cool. And then maybe more here. Some shrubbery. Trees. Maybe there's a forest back here. But overall, that's pretty much it for the line art. I'll draw these in too. Just some random shapes, some castle ruins. Way back in the distance. But that is it for the line art. Now what I'm going to do is turn off my sketch layer, look at it, make sure everything's good. And what's cool about this is since I drew all this on separate layers, I can color each element individually. So I'll just select that area outside and then I can press Control-Shift-I. I'll take this color and we have our mood, our color palette here basically with this reference picture. So it's going to be some type of green like this, a very cool green color, and then I can just fill that in. This nice, very cool. Yeah, we getting somewhere now. So same thing for the background. I don't have to select anything. What I'm going to do is just get a nice saturated blue color for the sky back here. Maybe too saturated. That should be good. And now I can start coloring this. So for Eris, it's gonna be weird trying to select him because this area down here, his legs aren't closed off. I could close it off, but I'll just show you how I do it. So first off, first thing I need to do is erase the areas where the grass overlaps his lines. So like that. And like that. All right. Next, what I'm going to do is grab a base color for him. It doesn't really matter what it is right now. But I want to get like his skin color basically. I'm going to color this area in. Actually, I'm only going to color in the areas that the grass won't cover. So this actually needs to be above. How am I doing this? Because just put it in the same folder. Put the colors in the same folder. So now, and then I put the line art over all of that, like that. So the color is underneath the lines. Nice. There we go. All right. Now what I'm doing is I'm coloring the area I need to, or I want to select from. It's going to be a lot easier to select Eris after I do this. I need a color around everything actually, around the grass. Color this in, color that in. There we go. And then I can select this color layer and the select this color layer and the line art layer to make a selection around the line art. And doing this will make it a lot easier for me to color it. The color won't bleed through the background. So now that I got that filled in, I can go to the character line art, Eris line art. Eris line art. There we go. So now I'm going to select that layer and the layer below it. Grab my magic wand, my auto select tool, select the area around Eris. And now I should be able to, no, that didn't work. I had to have refer multiple layers on. And now it should work. Nope. I need to turn off the line art for this. And there we go. Nice. Control Shift I. And I can turn that layer back on. Now when I color Eris in, I can do this. Don't go up that way though. There we go. Gotta edit it a little bit, but gotta erase this. I probably just fill it in with a transparent color. It's not really a color, it's just transparency. So for multiple layers, area scaling, do that. Nice. Nice. And just erase some of the edges so it looks a little bit cleaner. All right, so now I have a color mask for each element of the piece. Now I'm going to use this reference I have over here to color this. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and save it now before I get started. I'm actually going to start in the background. The background color and the lighting for the background is what's going to determine the lighting for everything else. So I think I'm just trying to think how I want the light to interact with everything and where I want the shadows to be. I feel like I'm getting too far ahead of myself. I just need to focus on the flat colors first. Lay down all the flat colors, then I can go in and worry about shadows and stuff. Just waiting for this time lapse to save. Then I can go in and get started. All right. We'll see what it looks like. Time lapse, export time lapse. Doing all the line art, finishing that up, and then adding the colors. Very cool. This feature is very cool in Clip Studio. Get to see like my progress I make on each step. Nice. All right. So this should be my last time lapse I export, meaning I want to finish everything on this last little section here. Last little bit. I'm gonna take a little break in a little bit, but got the flat colors down, the masks down. Now I want to add the flat colors. What? Oh, I deleted it. I didn't mean to delete it. I want to lock transparent pixels of every background layer, except for this blue color. That's fine. That can stay like that. But let's see. Oh, in the foreground as well. Lock that as well, and start coloring. So let's see. Everything's more cool colored, so these stones probably gonna be a cool blue color. That was gonna start in the background, but I just want to get these black colors down in the midground and the foreground. So these are gonna be like a gray color. Nice gray. All these stones. Gotta fix this real quick. All right. Using the fill tool makes this a lot easier. But I'm definitely gonna have to go in and edit some stuff myself. Now this is fine. Doing the flats. Like stuff down here. Color that in myself. And where this stone goes down like here. All right. Fine. There's another one here. All right. There's one up here as well. I'll lay all these flat colors down. Then I'm gonna take a break. And then same thing for the foreground. It's gonna be the same color but darker. I don't know if that made sense, but the foreground is supposed to be darker. It's gonna be in shadow. All right. And then color fix all this over here. Wrong layer. I'm gonna change the grass color, make it a little bit more yellow. Add some yellow to it. Nice. I like it. I like it. And then same thing for the background here. Separate, create a separate layer for the hills here and all of that. Actually darker. Interesting. Actually a little bit more cooler and a little bit more darker back here. I'm just looking at my reference, I mean. And same thing, I can do the same thing with the line art. I can just select everything, Control-Shift-I, and color in everything like that. So I don't go out to color mask. I did not mean to press Control S, but fine. Wait, did I? I did. I did. So we just gotta wait for that to save. But yeah, this is my process for coloring an illustration. And this is just a flat color, so I can't wait for you to see it when it's finished. It's gonna look awesome with all the detail and everything. So nice, saved. Oh, that's why it saved so fast, because I'm not recording the time lapse anymore. I forgot to start recording it again. Nope, I did. Didn't. Okay. Never mind. All good. I don't know what I'm talking about. Just gonna keep on drawing. All right. Looking good, looking good. So I wanna paint this sky the same way, or based off my reference. I want to use my reference to paint this sky. So let's see. I created this brush called the Avian paintbrush, but still kind of working on it. It's hard. It's not the best brush, but let's see what I can do with it. There's a gradient here. More like that color, huh? All right, cool. But one thing I have learned from painting and stuff is that you want to do background and foreground, or background and foreground, I mean. So that's what I'm doing here. So where the clouds are going to be. Clouds up here. And they're going to be a white color, so. Something like this. Something like this. There's probably going to be even more hills back here. I can draw. I can do like this. And because it's in the atmospheric perspective, it's getting kind of hard to see back there. But I enjoy painting like the backgrounds in my pieces. Gives it more depth. It kind of forces you to focus on the most important part, which is the character. So for now, this is fine. Later, I can go in and blur it. That's one thing I like to do. Darker masses back here, darker shapes. That. And want to add like a shadow underneath the clouds. I want that color though. Cooler, huh? Maybe more saturated. That's why, maybe. Yeah. Something like that. I'm gonna paint like the underside of the cloud. Underside of it. I'm not sure if this is the right color or not, but making it work. Yeah, I don't like that color anymore. It's not what I'm going for. Maybe though, I don't know. That's why I gotta study painting a lot more, because even though I like to paint, I'm enjoying it. I'm not the most comfortable doing it yet, so I'm gonna keep practicing, making strides to get better at it. Let's see. I'm losing the blue that was in there. That's the problem. I'm losing the blue. That blue sky color in the cloud, and that I'm losing out on it. Should be like a white color. I think this is enough. I'm gonna have to finish this later. This is enough for now. Yeah, I could be messing with this for a while. So I gotta find like a picture with a blue sky similar to this one that has clouds in it that I can use as a reference, because it's difficult with this picture because it doesn't have too many clouds. But I do like the atmosphere. I like it. So I gotta keep working on that. That's what it. But that'll be all for this video. This is where I got to. I'm working on this for about 3 hours now. I'll continue this a little bit later, and hopefully be able to show you the process, the full, or the finished artwork. So thank you for hanging out with me. That's it for this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.